GMS members are perplexed as to how Vocab Malone and others were able to find Tahar's somewhat secluded camp up on Morningside Drive. For example, one guy wrote, "How did these reprobates find the camp? I smell a rat, ancient, call it whatever." Another member elsewhere wrote, quote, "I said the same thing. How the HE double hockey stick this devil find them? Shaking my head," end quote. And then still another member replied to that by writing that, quote, "Drones are watching all of the camps," end quote. And here's some quick clips of various members wondering and speculating along similar lines.
He's an agent, bro. How the hell he find them if they go to different locations, man? Hey, this dude is an agent, man. How did he find the apostles, man? If they switch locations every week.
And here you'll see Tahar himself asking Vocab and Vocab giving the honest answer. I'll show the exchange from two different angles.
But let me ask you this: how did you find out where we were?
Yeah, for real. I had a little bit of help from a local New Yorker.
Okay, that's good.
A guy who lives in there. No, not a government agent.
Okay.
And
but
also,
we're not hard to find. We move around just to
also,
move
we ain't hiding.
What you do is you
We ain't hiding.
search, you put different keywords, and then on YouTube you hit live, you're limited to only live videos, and you look which ones are in New York. So you just use YouTube.
Okay.
But we tried to do it
You
yesterday.
prove one thing: you're smart.
We went to, all right, appreciate it.
Smart, you know?
We good. Otherwise, this is not easy, to come out here. It's also not easy for me.
But let me ask you this: how did you find out where we were?
I had a little bit of help from a local New Yorker.
Okay, that's good.
A guy who lives in the area. No, not a government agent.
Okay.
And also,
we're not hard to find. We move around just to
also
move
there's a little, what you do is you can search and you put different keywords, and then on YouTube you hit live, and it'll limit it to only live videos, and then you look which ones are in New York. So you just use YouTube.
Okay.
But we tried to do it yesterday.
You prove one thing: you're smart.
We went to, all right, appreciate it.
Even though Vocab gave the honest answer, some GMS members were not ready to accept it.
Elder Apostle Tahar was like, "Well, how'd you find out, our location, man?" And Vocab, his answer was, "I have a local friend," which that was bullshit, man. Okay? Well, you could be right, but to me, I smell bullshit. Okay? I speak as a man as far as that goes. And then you said you can go on YouTube and type in live feeds and it'll give the location, which you might be right on that too, but I'm not sure. But I smell spies, man. These guys are set up, like I said, rather it's by the elites or lower level people, lower than the elites.
The fact of the matter is, if you're going to hold your camp practically in the shadow of a major New York tourist attraction, it's not going to be hard for longtime New Yorkers to figure out where you're at. Just from looking at the live feed, I know for a fact that by early that evening, there were multiple New Yorkers who knew where the location was. This is where you guys were. Morningside Drive between 116th and 118th. Now let's go 3D with my drone skills. Now if you just walk 1 block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks, 4 blocks, you come to the Episcopalian Cathedral of St. John the Divine, one of the largest churches in America, one of the largest churches in the world, largest church in New York, an architectural wonder. I've been here many times. I love this place. So honestly, is it really so hard to believe that someone from the area might recognize the scenery? For example, the western border of Morningside Park, which is Morningside Drive, has very distinct concrete and brick features in the wall that goes along that side of the park. Is it so hard to believe that someone from the area might recognize the distinct features of the fencing and of the wall of that park in the background of Tahar's live feed? Or what about the distinct features of this building which appeared in the background of the live stream that day? Is it so hard to believe that someone familiar with 116th and Morningside might recognize the features of that building that's on the corner there? Even Vocab's first book, Barack Obama versus the Black Hebrew Israelites, has relevance here. Anyone who's read the book knows what inspired that title. The book opens by imagining a young Barack Obama in 1981 as a student at Columbia University. The text explores the idea of a young Obama walking from Columbia University's campus into the heart of Harlem, and in the process, encountering Hebrew Israelites on the street. Now, think about this for a second, at least for those who are familiar with the area. A walk from Columbia University's campus to the heart of Harlem, let's say to an area right around 1 West, so let's go ahead and say 125th Street and 5th Avenue. That walk could easily cut right through Morningside Park, and therefore could walk partially along Morningside Drive. Now, don't you think that if Vocab has imagined this scenario, he's discussed it with New Yorkers, and therefore even he's somewhat familiar with the area? He also mentions in his book that at that time, Obama's apartment was on 109th Street between Amsterdam and Columbus, which is literally right around the corner from the opening of Morningside Drive. And Vocab gave some thought, he put some thought to the distance between Obama's apartment and 1 West.
And I looked into this. He really did have an apartment in Harlem at one point, and he really was close to the original 1 West school where the Hebrew Israelites kind of originated out of in '69. And so he would have had to have almost come in contact with them.
For a good example of how much thought Vocab put into this and how long ago he did so, I would recommend his video from November of 2017 titled Hebrew Israelite Apologetics Book Intro, in which he actually put up a map showing the span from Obama's old apartment in the top left corner of the map and to 1 West, down at the lower right corner of the map, with Morningside Park prominently appearing in that map. Here, check this out.
So I'm going to try to also show you guys a map of potential places where this encounter could have occurred. And you'll see notations there because we know about where his apartment was at the time. We know where the school was, 1 West 125th there at 1981, and we know where Columbia is. We also know he went to places like Sylvia's, a soul food restaurant, which is marked on the map with an S. And so you can see there's different routes where he would have encountered these guys, as well as there's certain spots where they would regularly be out, where he could be through. There's areas where if he cut through quickly to get through school, like through this one park, he might run into him. So there's a ton of places that could have happened. There's no way he could have missed them walking around Harlem, where his apartment was, on 109th, close to Columbus, I believe, and Amsterdam, between those two.
Vocab's book came out in 2017, so he was conceptually mapping out the area 2 years before he encountered GMS in that area. Therefore, if anything, ironically, GMS unwittingly held their camp in a location which Vocab had already been contemplating. So, in conclusion, contrary to the imaginative conspiracy theories of certain members of GMS, one doesn't have to be a quote-unquote agent or a quote-unquote spy to have been able to find Tahar's camp in Morningside Heights. You certainly wouldn't need help from a government or a clandestine intelligence agency. The only thing that's required is familiarity with the area. Or, if you have a friend who's a New Yorker, you could just have that friend, that New Yorker, look at the live feed for you and tell you what they see. I should know because in this case, I was that New Yorker.